Welcome to the Chesapeake Bay and to one of the most charming destinations in all of Maryland, the town of St. Michael's and its surrounding counties on the eastern shore. St. Michael's rests on the Miles River, which flows directly into the Chesapeake Bay. It's a nautical town rich in history, full of adventure, local culture, and some of the most picturesque scenery you'll find anywhere in the mid-Atlantic. Hi, I'm Jose, and I'm in Maryland's Eastern Shore, ready to experience this incredible maritime community. On this tour, we'll visit the historic downtown that makes St. Michael's such a beloved destination. We'll explore some of the area's remarkable museums and learn about the riveting history that have made contributions to some of America's greatest movements. We'll also venture into the surrounding towns and attractions, areas with picture-perfect waterfront scenery that immerse us with the incredible geography of the state of Maryland. So let's go on tour to the Chesapeake Bay and the town of St. Michael's. The eastern shore of Maryland, a region of the state that shares the Delmarva Peninsula with Delaware and Virginia. One of the most unique areas in the mid-Atlantic, the eastern shore lies east of the Chesapeake Bay. Crossing into Kent County marks the beginning of our journey as we stop on the largest island in the bay, a gateway to the eastern shore nestled between Annapolis and the Delmarva Peninsula. Kent Island is home to Chesapeake Beach, the only public swimming beach in Queen Anne's County, where the early days of summer come alive as locals flock to its scenic shoreline. Chesapeake Beach is a more private and secluded area than other beaches in the peninsula, a hidden gem sitting near the Chesapeake Bay Bridge. The beach is part of the Chesapeake State Park, once a landing site for the Chesapeake Bay ferry system. The rushing waters flowing from the bay are warm and inviting, easing visitors into the stunning shoreline. Behind them, the steady hum of cars crossing the Chesapeake Bay Bridge. This vital span carries nearly 100,000 vehicles daily, where the commute of summer drivers rises from more than 80,000 to over 92,000 commuters as travelers make their way from Maryland's inland to the popular beaches of the eastern shore. Surrounding the beautiful Chesapeake Beach are an inlet, a marina, a dog-friendly beach, and the Chesapeake Clubhouse, the former ferry terminal repurposed to a venue for community gatherings. The early days of summer bring the perfect weather for a beachside escape, ideal for a refreshing swim, or simply basking in the sun. As I take one last stroll along the shore, I soak in the laughter, the joy, and the soothing crash of waves against the sand. With each step, the warm water touches my feet, marking the beginning of a grand adventure in this beautiful corner of Maryland. Welcome to St. Michael's and its charming main thoroughfare, Talbot Street, where the community celebrates the great American holiday with a lively parade of classic and one-of-a-kind vehicles. The crowds roar with excitement as friends and family proudly showcase their vintage vehicles. Classic car restoration is deeply woven into American culture, a tradition celebrated during holidays, festivals, and community gatherings. The community's veterans make their way down Talbot Street, proudly representing the brave men and women who served their country alongside the vehicles that played vital roles in combat. America is a global leader in classic car enthusiasm, rooted in its pioneering role in the automotive industry. From Henry Ford's famed Model T, which brought automobiles to the masses, to Charles and Frank Duryea, who built the first successful gasoline-powered car in 1893. These were the early foundations of car culture. This parade offers a flavor of vehicles for every kind of enthusiast, from the colorful and luxurious to the iconic and foreign, as flags wave proudly to this living portrait of Americana. When I visit new places, I love to explore its local events. St. Michael's is surrounded by harbors and steeped in rich nautical history, but the town honors another American tradition. At the Classic Motor Museum, we embark on a living history book, which showcases American automotive innovation. The museum is an important part of the town's identity, bringing classic cars to life and helping educate the community on this vital piece of American heritage.
By 2010, we had about 15 empty storefronts on Talbot Street. And a number of the, ladies in town decided that they wanted to do something to jumpstart Main Street. So during these conversations in 2010, roughly, one of the ladies was from California and she knew of the Black Hawk collection, which was Jay Leno. And somehow they got talking about, well, why don't we think about a car museum? Well, as soon as they started doing that, some of the husbands' ears perked up and, sort of got involved in the discussion. So the Amish built this. We raised money through the generosity of our volunteers. By 2015, we were virtually able to open, but we really didn't strike up the band until 2017, where we finally had a part-time administrator and we got a core of about 10 volunteers that really believe in it, and the rest is history.
The timeless beauty of classic vehicles, machines that blend engineering with elegant design. The Classic Motor Museum of St. Michael's honors the rich and fascinating history of vintage motoring. It complements the car parade and is showcased inside a beautifully crafted wooden barn built by the local Amish community. Walking through the museum feels like stepping into a time machine where the most iconic vehicles in automotive history come alive. From Mercedes to Chevys, each model transports us to an era when cars carried not just people, but personality, craftsmanship, and character. The first recorded classic car club in the United States was established in 1935, when the Antique Automobile Club of America set out to unite vintage car enthusiasts and preserve these remarkable pieces of automotive history. Decades later, places like the Classic Motor Museum proudly carry that legacy forward, continuing the journey of keeping this historical spirit alive. The famed Chesapeake Bay, the largest estuary in America and the third largest in the world. The Chesapeake Bay is a drainage point for several major rivers, spreading across 6 of the 7 mid-Atlantic states and Washington, D.C. From the Susquehanna, which flows through New York and Pennsylvania, to the Potomac, passing by West Virginia and D.C., and the James River, which runs across Virginia. All these rivers feed into the Chesapeake Bay and ultimately converge in the state of Maryland. Along the eastern shore, there are many small towns that hold some of the oldest history in the state. St. Michael's is one of the most notable, often referred as the heart and soul of the Chesapeake Bay. Founded in the mid-1600s, it began as a trading post for tobacco farmers, similar to other waterfront settlements throughout Washington, D.C., Maryland, and Virginia. The town was named after St. Michael the Archangel, inspired by the Christ Church of St. Michael Parish. As its shipbuilding industry grew, St. Michael's became a pivotal location during the Revolutionary War and the War of 1812. St. Michael's earned its reputation as a town that fooled the British. Forewarned of an incoming British attack, the townspeople devised a clever ruse. They hung lanterns in trees and dimmed the lights of homes and businesses. When the British arrived by nightfall, they fired upon the glowing lanterns, believing them to be targets, and spared much of the town from destruction. Today, St. Michael's is a maritime hub that connects to the Eastern Bay and flows directly into the Chesapeake Bay. In this charming part of St. Michael's, visitors gather to explore the downtown, stroll through the farmers market, and enjoy the maritime heritage that defines the community. A vibrant tourist destination, St. Michael's is home to just over 1,000 residents, yet it welcomes more than 400,000 visitors each year. Local vendors take the opportunity to showcase unique goods, adding a dose of small-town charm where it feels like everyone knows each other. You can walk away with fresh produce grown right in Talbot County, a region known for its rich agricultural roots and strong farming traditions. St. Michael's has long been considered one of the best coastal towns in America, earning praise from countless travel shows and magazines. It's also known as the heart and soul of the Chesapeake and is one of the top tourist destinations on Maryland's eastern shore, second only to the resort town of Ocean City and the natural beauty of Chesapeake Island. The town is lined with colorful shops along Talbot Street, framed by a collection of colonial and Victorian architecture that preserves the classic history of Maryland. Walking through Talbot Street, the main road that crosses through the town, you'll notice that a lot of its architecture has retained that 19th century charm. From its early days as a tobacco trading post to its rise as a center for shipbuilding, the town's touristic allure made it a cherished summer escape for the wealthy during the 1930s. By the 1940s and 50s, St. Michael's blossomed into a destination of waterfront leisure, welcoming visitors drawn to its peaceful waters, secluded charm, and convenient proximity to the major cities of the DMV region. As I make my way through town on this warm day, I stop to enjoy a sweet treat, and St. Michael's is the perfect place to indulge in local desserts. One must-try eatery is the iconic Justine's Ice Cream Parlor, one of the most featured ice cream shops in travel magazines and national publications, famous for its towering wall of shakes. It's always the best way to beat the heat. St. Michael's is a major boating destination, and in its early days, boats were the only way that people would get in and out of town. With its picturesque harbor and charming waterfront, the town feels like an open invitation to set sail, making it one of the best ways to experience the beauty of the Miles River and the Chesapeake Bay. In Maryland's capital city of Annapolis, we experienced the Chesapeake Bay firsthand and traveled by cruise along the stunning body of water. Annapolis is known as the sailing capital of America. These areas showcase the importance of Maryland's maritime history. The state of Maryland is no stranger to boating and nautical heritage, and St. Michael's is deeply anchored in that maritime tradition, with roots stretching back hundreds of years. Locals and visitors stroll through Muskrat Park, a peaceful harbor that once played a pivotal role during the War of 1812. The rich history of St. Michael's and the greater Chesapeake Bay is preserved at the Chesapeake Bay Maritime Museum, one of the Eastern Shore's premier attractions and a gateway into the broader story of this remarkable region. Since its founding in the 1960s, the museum has helped shape local tourism, attracting historically minded travelers and further growing the area's thriving sailing culture. This is the Chesapeake Bay Maritime Museum, the only museum dedicated to preserving the full history of the Chesapeake Bay. Visitors are greeted by a striking collection of boats that once sailed these waters. As I move from room to room, I'm amazed by the fascinating stories attached to each vessel, from canoes and kayaks to sailboats and high-speed hydroplanes. The museum captures the rich legacy of St. Michael's shipbuilding industry. Visitors observe a replica of a skipjack, one of the most iconic boats to ever sail the Chesapeake Bay. Designated as the official state boat of Maryland, skipjacks were essential for oyster dredging, becoming a vital mode of transportation during Maryland's 19th century oyster boom. Originating on the Eastern Shore, skipjacks provided watermen with a lightweight, affordable vessel, perfect for navigating the bay's shallow waters. At the height of their use, more than 2,000 skipjacks traversed the Chesapeake, dredging for oysters as shellfish soared in demand. There's so much to explore about the history of the Chesapeake Bay, and in this wonderful museum, you can learn so much about its contributions to the state of Maryland. As we make our way to the Oyster House, we pass through a series of immersive exhibits, and I take a seat to experience a slice of coastal tradition, imitating the fine dining of oysters that has long been celebrated along the Eastern Shore. The Chesapeake Bay Maritime Museum has been a treasured part of St. Michael's since 1965, spanning a campus of 35 buildings with 12 dedicated to exhibits. Each building explores a different facet of bay life, from its social and economic influence to its geological evolution. St. Michael's geography and the broader history of the Chesapeake Bay is truly fascinating. St. Michael's is located on a peninsula along Maryland's eastern shore, developed from its early settlements of shipbuilders. The Chesapeake Bay was formed roughly 35 million years ago when a meteorite struck the area of Cape Charles, Virginia, leaving behind a massive 55-mile wide crater. It would eventually become the foundation of the bay. The Chesapeake Bay is home to 2 of the 5 major shipping ports in North America, supporting the livelihoods of over 80 million people. Behind the museum, the marina buzzes with activity, lined with yachts of all shapes and sizes, belonging to travelers making their way through St. Michael's. But among them, one ship stands out, the Patriot, a stunning replica of a 1930s steam ferry, now filled with eager visitors, ready to set sail along the Miles River and into the heart of the Chesapeake Bay. From Higgins Yacht Yard to the St. Michael's Marina, boaters cruise along the scenic waterfront. This exciting excursion slowly departs from the Navy Point as passengers relax on the outer deck, gazing out at the serene beauty of St. Michael's. The vessel is designed to mimic the classic steam ferries that once brought travelers to this historic town. The Patriot has been in service since 1965, guiding visitors on a narrated journey through the town's rich history. As the ship maneuvers and turns towards the marina's exit, we pass smaller boats gliding across the waterfront. The same waters that once supported some of St. Michael's busiest industries. The Chesapeake Bay Maritime Museum was originally part of a thriving complex of workboats, docks, and seafood packing houses, specializing in the harvesting and distribution of the famed blue crab. The beloved shellfish became a culinary staple across Annapolis and the Eastern Shore. And we wave a final goodbye to the Patriot as it takes its voyage into the Chesapeake. As we inch closer to the museum's marina and the gently flowing waters of the Miles River, we come upon one of the last remaining screw pile lighthouses in Maryland. The Miles River feeds into the Eastern Bay, which then flows into the Chesapeake Bay, forming part of its extensive network of tributaries.
We are headed up the 1879 Hooper Strait Lighthouse. It's a little narrow in here, but you get one of the most amazing views of the bay.
From above, we can take in all the excitement from yachts passing through these busy waters, a scene of pure recreation, and just one of the many reasons travelers are drawn to St. Michael's. The Hooper Strait Lighthouse serves as an excellent viewing point, one of only 4 remaining screw pile lighthouses in Maryland, alongside the 7-foot knoll in Baltimore, Thomas Point Shaw, and Drum Point Light.
This is definitely one of the best views in the town.
The Chesapeake Bay Maritime Museum houses one more building that holds deep significance in the story of Maryland's past, the Steamboat Building. This space honors the history of steamboats that once navigated the Chesapeake Bay and the often overlooked contributions of a silent minority who played a vital role in shaping the Eastern Shore. For generations, enslaved African Americans were integral to the labor force in shipyards, fisheries, and waterfront industries. Their legacy is preserved through powerful exhibits that highlight stories of hardship, resilience, and triumph. From those who used the bay's waterways to escape slavery and what the museum calls sailing to freedom, to the independent oystermen who emerged after emancipation and helped fuel the oyster boom. These walls tell stories of courage, perseverance, and transformation. Together, they reflect the rich and complex history of the Delmarva Peninsula.
Talbot County holds great significance when it comes to the Underground Railroad. It's the birthplace to one of Maryland's most famous sons, Frederick Douglass.
The Eastern Shore is perhaps one of the most overlooked regions in American history. It played a crucial role in both the American Revolution and the Civil War, referred to by historians as the breadbasket of the American Revolution. The region produced much of the food that sustained the Continental Army in its fight for independence. It was also home to what George Washington described as some of the bravest and fiercest fighters to take up arms in the war. But in both the Revolutionary and Civil Wars, loyalty was a significant concern for national leaders. Many of America's greatest freedom fighters were born in the state of Maryland. Just over the Choptank River in Dorchester County is the birthplace of Harriet Tubman, arguably one of the most iconic social activists in American history. As part of the Harriet Tubman Underground Railroad Byway, you can visit museums, landmarks, and historical markers. This trail chronicles the life of this valiant hero. The Beacon of Hope is a 13-foot bronze statue that stands as a powerful symbol for Maryland's Day of Resilience, a moment that brings the community together to reflect, heal, and emphasize the importance of building strong partnerships with our neighbors. Harriet Tubman stands tall in this striking portrayal, with the North Star shining from her raised right hand, guiding the way to freedom. In her left hand, she holds a key, a symbol of unlocking the past, bridging generations, and passing on the spirit of resilience. Beneath her feet lie broken shackles, representing those who escaped the bonds of slavery and those still yearning to be free. This statue serves as a metaphor for the journey to liberation, a tribute to the power of hope and the strength Tubman inspired in others to discover within themselves. This monument stands as a powerful reflection for Dorchester County, honoring one of its own who rose to become a beacon of hope and a leader for those most in need. Maryland's part during the Civil War was important to the Union, but contained a more complicated background. It's a border state that walked a tightrope between both political ideologies, with some areas having views that align with the Confederacy. Traveling along the Harriet Tubman Byway leads visitors to one of the most monumental landmarks in the legacy of this great freedom fighter. The Harriet Tubman Underground Railroad Visitor Center. This powerful site commemorates the life and legacy of Maryland's famed conductor. Walking into the historical museum, you can immediately feel the weight of this dark chapter in American history. Bronze statues stand throughout the space, capturing powerful moments of struggle, sorrow, and hardship. Photographs and detailed replicas revealed the living conditions of both freed and enslaved African Americans, while also acknowledging another forgotten group, poor white Americans, whose poverty and lack of social standing left them marginalized and excluded from the privileges of society. Harriet's long and difficult journey begins in her childhood on a plantation in Dorchester County. Born Araminta Ross, she would later adopt the name Harriet in honor of her mother, carrying forward her strength and legacy. The garments she wore remain silent witnesses, telling stories of hardships, resilience, and the unbreakable spirit that guided her towards freedom. The Ross family mourned the painful separation of their 8 children, a heartbreaking reality under slavery. Araminta was sidelined and rented out to begin forced labor. By the age of 5, she had already come to know the harsh realities of enslaved life. Long hours, physical exhaustion, and the brutal sting of whippings that marked her early years. With unshakable strength, Harriet Tubman set out to free as many enslaved people as she could. She stood alongside fellow abolitionists like Frederick Douglass and those who courageously spoke out against slavery, including the Germantown Quakers of Pennsylvania, the first religious group to formally protest the institution of slavery. Even Native American communities offered refuge, sheltering those who escaped bondage and helping to lay the foundation of the Underground Railroad. These champions came from all walks of life, but shared one truth. Their actions carried a great risk, from the loss of property to imprisonment to the possibility of death. Together, they forged a truly harrowing and courageous path to liberty. This museum is a powerful testament to the brave individuals who stood up to fight for justice and morality. Harriet Tubman's fear of being sold into harsher conditions and being separated from her family led her to seek freedom and escape. She would go on to become a key figure in abolishing slavery and later a proponent to the women's rights movement. Our journey brings us full circle back to where it all began, at the meeting point of the Delmarva Peninsula in mainland Maryland, on the storied shores of Kent Island. Busy fishermen fill the piers, casting their lines in hope of catching one of the many species that call the Chesapeake Bay home. As we stroll along the Chesapeake Pier, we pause to reflect on this unforgettable experience. The Eastern Shore offers more than just a destination. It's an escape, steeped in history, grounded in community, and alive with adventure and recreation. A journey through one of the most breathtaking regions in Maryland. And yet, we've only scratched the surface of its vibrant tourism, stunning scenery, and the remarkable stories that continue to shape it. Boats and jet skis glide across the bay as the warmth of the season breathes life into the water, filling the air with energy and the joy of travel. The Chesapeake Bay is a thriving ecosystem, home to more than 3,600 species of plants and animals. Its vast network of tributaries provides over 11,000 miles of shoreline, stretching farther than the entire West Coast. As I take one final walk along the pier, I pause to watch the ducks below, gliding freely through the water, a peaceful reminder of the quiet beauty that lives in every corner of the Eastern Shore. The state of Maryland offers a truly diverse experience, no matter which region you explore, a place rich in culture, history, and natural beauty. It stands as a pillar in the foundation of America and a defining part of the Mid-Atlantic region. The town of St. Michael's and the Eastern Shore are a beautiful, one-of-a-kind gem in Maryland's coastal region. This area is a must-visit for anyone looking to dive deeper into the charm and character of this unique state, experiencing the small-town soul of classic American waterfront communities. From its rich maritime history, connected deeply to the Chesapeake Bay, to its stunning architecture and picturesque surroundings that bring the town to life, St. Michael's is a perfect gateway to the Chesapeake Bay and to the many postcard-worthy towns waiting to be explored. I'm Jose, and I thank you for joining me on this adventure in the town of St. Michael's and the Eastern Shore. Until next time.